Morning everyone, welcome back. Today's the day. We're on our way to go pick up a new ATV. Well, an old ATV that does not run. It's a 2003 Yamaha Bear Tracker that we're picking up from a lady who had an estate sale where we bought our freezer from in the previous video. She offered us the ATV for a really incredible price. So let's go check it out. Well guys, here it is. First look over, it's in a lot better shape than I thought it was, than I remember it. It's definitely dirty, it needs to be cleaned up, but that's not a big issue, obviously. Some things we noticed, the tires are a little bit dry rotted, so we'll probably be looking at tires in the near future. We do not have a key for it. There was no key found. I was in contact with local motorsports place, and they said that they can get me one for not much money at all. It'll probably take me a couple days. I also found one on Amazon. It said it could be here tomorrow, so I went ahead and ordered that. Luckily, it has a pull start on it, so I can test it out by using the pull start if I disconnect the ignition wires. So I think we're gonna go ahead and get this unloaded from the trailer, and then we'll start going over little things. I think the first thing we're gonna do is look at the gas tank, see what's in there. We'll go ahead and disconnect our key switch, because we know we have to replace that. We're coming over here to check our battery, and we've got 5.86 volts, so we know that our battery is not sufficiently charged or up to the task of starting this thing. So I think just out of the sake of starting fresh, we're gonna go pick up a new battery. All right guys, so just for fun, I hooked up a jump pack to the battery over here, and I disconnected the ignition switch like I told you earlier. Even though our battery's dead, I put some power to it, and I used just a little wire to touch the two contacts of the ignition switch. And wouldn't you know it, the starter started trying to turn it over. There's no fuel in the bike at the moment though, so I think we're gonna go get a battery, go get some gas, on to the next step. I think this thing's gonna run. Okay guys, so we picked up a new battery, installed it, and I think what happened here, when I hit the ignition that time, it cranked when I had it jumped out. I put this in, it cranked, and then nothing happened after that. Let me show you what I think happened. I had jumped these two ignition wires out, basically hot wiring the thing. And when I went to go disconnect them, I think the hot lead here touched the handlebar, the aluminum on the handlebar, and grounded out the circuit. This fuse, I checked it and it was blown. I think I have it over here for you guys to see. See, the little contact in the middle is gone. So that wire hitting the handlebar shorted out that fuse, grounded it out, and blew it. So I took this one out, put it in its place, came over here, and sure enough, she's cranking. So I'm thinking if we put this fuse back in, come on, baby. Yeah, we're running. And if I do say so myself, the carburetor doesn't sound too bad either. Like, it's running pretty smooth. Guys, I think we're in business. So So when I was testing the thing to see if it would run, this is a little something that I came up with. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's just a cheap coolant overflow jug that I picked up from the local auto parts store. I attached the fuel filter and some 1/4-inch silicone hose to the bottom, just so that I can be sure that I run, clean gas through the system when I'm testing it, rather than going through the tank beforehand. So the tank is all cleaned out, there's fresh fuel in it, but this is the best way to ensure that you're getting really clean gas to the engine to start. All right, so right now I've got our fuel shut off. This is the old fuel line to the carburetor, and I don't know how long it's been on here, and there's also no filter on it. So we're gonna take that off and make up a new piece here. This will go from our shut off valve. We'll attach another piece here to go to the carb, and we'll get that replaced in a minute. All right, so here's the new assembly that I made up. A little helpful tip. These little clamps, try to orient them so that they're facing out. In other words, my hand represents where the engine is. This is the side that the fuel assembly will be on. If you ever have to service this in the future, how you open these is you depress these little tongs with a pair of pliers, and then you can slide them. And when you let go, they kind of put pressure back on the hose. So place them on the outside facing you so it's just easier to service. All right, so the new filter is installed in line. We're clamped here at the fuel valve, again at the filter, the bottom of the filter, and going into the carb. Now that the fuel line's done and replaced, we gotta change the oil on this thing. As part of going through this and changing everything out to be in tip-top shape, we're replacing the air filter that was in here. It doesn't look terrible, actually, but focus. But no sense in going through all this and leaving dirty things. We'll start fresh with everything. I'm gonna try to clean this box out a little bit though, just in case there's any residual particles or anything in here that might get into our intake. So the new filter just slides in there and there we go, locks in place. All right, so we got our drain plug out, draining our oil. I don't know if you guys can see there's a little spring inside there. Right up in there with the screen attached to it at the end. I'm gonna pull that out in a second once all the oil's done draining out. And there's a little screen that you gotta take some carb or a brake cleaner and just spray it out, get all the gunk out. All right, so here's that little, where am I? There we go. Little screen I was talking about. And you can see it's not too bad, but there's a little bit of sediment in there. So we'll just dry it up and give it a good spray with brake cleaner and clean that all out. Got some help over here while I work. You guys are supposed to be in your pen. What's going on? What, the dogs aren't in the yard and you get brave? You get brave when the dogs aren't out? Get back over there, you guys. That's right, you better run. Dude, what's your story? You're the friendliest one. This one's kind of cute. She's like a cross, this chicken, between a barred rock and an Easter egg or an olive. You see she got the bearded cheeks like an Easter egger does, but complete markings like a barred rock. But she's our friendliest chicken. Kids named her Blackberry. Like those weeds? All right, I gotta get back to work. All right, so I've cleaned that screen out and the spring, placed it back in there. For anyone who might have this quad, or I think it's the Yamaha Big Bear or Timberwolf, this is your oil cap here, your oil plug they call it. Just make sure that you inspect this rubber O-ring, which is like your gasket, so that it's not cracked and in decent shape before you put that back in. Another thing, when you're tightening these down on these Japanese quads, this metal is real soft. I don't know about the other ones, but on Yamaha, and so when you tighten it, just don't go crazy. Snug it up, and then that last turn, just a little tighten like that. We don't got to go crazy tight on these because you'll round that metal right off. So before we fill her back up, get the leaves out of here. Right here is an oil filter that needs to be changed. So I went and picked up the replacement part. Isn't that cute? The cutest little K&N filter. Anyway, I'm a bit nervous because I have heard, or I've read, that these, Yamaha uses these Allen head screws rather than a regular, 6-headed bolt. And again, with soft metal, I've heard that people strip these out very, very easily. I'm gonna have to use a standard Allen wrench to crack those open. I'm just gonna go real slow. Maybe I'll heat them up a little bit if they don't open right away. And hopefully we get this out without stripping those. So far, they are not budging. So before I heat these, because I think this is a plastic cap, I don't want to melt it. Before I heat it, I'm going to try just holding this in place and then lightly tapping this with a heavier object to see if I can get it to crack loose. Alright, so I was able to crack these two loose just by using the rubber end of the screwdriver and banging on it gently, and I got them to crack loose. This one not so much, but it's also in a weird spot because of this brake lever over here and the spring mechanism. So I can't really whack on it too good. So I might try to put the end of a box wrench on it and just leave you a little bit of leverage. We'll try that next. All right, so we got it. It's important with these things not to get frustrated. Take your time and go slow. I'm real glad I got into this, guys. Never take for granted that something was done, because while the oil looked like it was in pretty good shape, this filter was gross. I mean, look at that. Look at everything that was caught by this filter. Thank goodness we're getting into this and changing this filter, man. That's not looking good. Woo. So our cap is back on. Our bolts are properly torqued this time, not to gorilla specs, but properly. Filter's in. I'm gonna pour some oil in here. We're using the Valvoline. I'm partial to Valvoline. I don't know why. I just like that brand. I've used it on my my cars in my past and classics that I built. Anyway, it's an ATV UTV specialty oil, using a 1040 weight as we get into the colder seasons here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this poured in and we'll get her fired up. All right, guys, looks like no leaks. Everything's tight. Get the starter up, make sure everything's good. Wow, that was fast. That's not usual after it's been sitting for a little bit. Maybe that air filter was a lot more clogged up than we thought. Okay, so put your switch to run, the red switch, and hit the start switch. Alright, so this is a manual, okay? So when you drive it, it's not an automatic like the old one we had back home. When you drive it, that lever right there, that's how you shift gears. I'm not going to have you shift through all the gears yet. I'm going to have you go slow because this thing goes real quick. So we're just going to go in first, alright? It's in neutral right now. So what you're going to do is you put your toe underneath it, on the bottom of it. Alright, yeah. Hold your brake, push your brake in, and then pull up with that. Okay, now let it go. And give a little bit of gas. Be careful. Well, guys, I got it running pretty good. It's a little bit slow to start when it's cold. You know, it's a cold start. It takes a little bit, but some carburetor tuning, I think we'll get that sorted out. Still you two? Come on, go back where you came from. That way, in the pen. Other way, that way. Let's go. Single file, come on. Oh, you guys are in trouble. Come on, you're gonna miss feeding time. Let's go. All right, follow along. Don't you guys watch them? You know what's going to happen, right? You guys are going to be stuck out of there. I'm going to throw food in, and then you're not going to be able to get it. Here it comes. You ready? Oh, tricked you one on this side. Here it goes. They're going to get it. And you're stuck. See? If you just stay in there, you get the food. Now I see how you're getting out. Listen, I ordered a nice electric fence, so don't get too used to that. It's going to get kind of unpleasant if you keep doing that real soon. Well guys, I don't know about you, but I am super happy with how the quad turned out. I know in the immediate future, what I'd like to do is get a lot of this metal stuff taken off, the bars, the rear front rack, get those painted. And I think I want to get the plastics painted up and taken off. Or maybe not, they're not in bad shape. But I don't know, I think it would kind of look neat if we did like a flat, like olive, like almost like a military green, and then touch up all this black. I think it would look pretty cool. What do you guys think? I think I'm gonna need a set of tires for this because of the dry rotting. So that's on the list. I'm cleaning up and painting, and it's not too bad, but you can kind of see some rust starting to come through. So I mean, it's not much effort at all just to unbolt these racks, give it a quick sanding, clean it up, and paint it with some flat black. And maybe like another coat of like a satin sealer over it or something like that. The plastic is in good shape. It just looks kind of gross. That's why I was thinking about painting it. But we'll see. I'm not too sure yet. I'm pretty happy with it so far. I mean, we've got ourselves a nice ATV now for the Homestead. Another thing that I definitely want to add is a dump cart trailer. So I was looking at them online, and just gonna put a they have like a hitch receiver that you put a pin through, and there's a couple different models out there. The choices really are like a metal or sheet metal type of dump cart, or those plastic PVC dump carts. There's advantages to both. The PVC, the plastic, rather, obviously you can leave it out, it can get wet, it's not going to rot, it's not going to rust, so there's definitely an advantage there. I think for our use, I think we're going to wind up getting a sheet metal one, only because we're going to have a covered place to park the ATV always, which gives me an idea for another video and another build we're going to do on the Homestead, but we'll get to that later. And also because I kind of want something with a tailgate so that it can, drop, and then we can, when we lift it to dump it, everything can come right out. And I want something that's, a lot of the plastic ones are kind of on the small side. So I want something that's bigger, that could fit maybe a full bale of hay and like a water tank and deer corn and the whole nine. So that's on the short list: dump cart trailer and some new tires. And then definitely painting up the rusty front and back rack, and we'll decide on the plastic as time goes. Leave it in the comments. What do you guys think? Think we should paint the plastic? Think we should just clean it up and leave it? You like the idea of the army green color against the black? Not that it matters all that much, but curious to hear what you guys have to say. All right, anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Not bad, cheap ATV for the Homestead. It's working pretty good. I'm happy with it. Please come back for the next one. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for being with us on the journey, and I appreciate you guys being here. Take care and be well.